if you're deeply dedicated, if you do all the right cleanses, detoxes, take all the right supplements, do everything you can to heal your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, then you should be totally fine. Am I right? Or am I right? Or am I wrong? For a long time, many years, I was living by that motto, and to my disappointment this year, I've had to surrender into the idea that maybe I can't heal everything naturally like I wanted to, and that is okay, and that does not make me a failure, and that doesn't mean I have more things to work on. Instead, I'm grateful that I have resources to heal in ways that I have been unable to on my own, is what I came to. So I think that can be applied in many different ways in the healing journey, especially if you're in like very hyper spiritual spaces. And I feel like things have gotten very extreme in that way, where like even I too, that's why I said I was in that space. I've been a nurse for 14 years and used to do traditional type of nursing, hospital setting. But then I came out of it for like 7 years and worked in like very holistic, naturopathic, functional medicine settings where it was a lot about detoxing and healing. And I've fallen into a religious cult pretty much where, again, on that whole concept of like you can manifest your own reality, you can do whatever you want. You know, there's definitely many doctors out there, and I think practitioners kind of putting out that idea of like you just need vitamin D, for instance, with fibroids, and if you just have enough vitamin D, you'll totally be fibroid free, which I can tell you, maybe for some people, but I've been doing vitamin D supplement and IM injections and in the sun and all sorts of things for many years, and I still have fibroids that were not shrinking. And so I think it can definitely be a dangerous take to just stay hyper-focused on this idea that if you just take enough supplements or do the right things that you will heal. And so this is my story about how I came to this conclusion with dealing with fibroids and having honestly like 20 years of my whole cycle since I've had it in the beginning has been painful. And I have a history of fibroids on both sides of my family, which if you have a family history of fibroids, you are considerably more likely to get fibroids. And I'm not overweight. I've never been overweight. And that's, you know, one thing with fibroids is weight, trying to be at appropriate weight. And, you know, there's a lot of different things I've come across, like following a SIBO diet and, you know, not doing pork and I've found women who said that they healed their fibroids just from not eating gluten or, like I said, not eating pork or doing like womb cleansing or spiritual work with their ancestors or doing like yoni steaming. I've tried, at this point, I would say I've tried almost nearly everything. I'm sure there are things I have not tried for my fibroids, but I got my first diagnosis it's been 8 years. And over the last 8 years, and I didn't have health insurance, I was adamant that I was not going to do surgery, that I was not going to have a hysterectomy or a myomectomy, which were the only main things brought to my focus at that time. And I didn't have health insurance anyways, so there wasn't any way I was gonna pay for that out of pocket. And so I was like, I'm gonna be doing natural remedies because I didn't want to get cut into anyways. And so I'm not even joking when I say that for the last 8 years, I have definitely spent thousands of dollars trying to, through vitamin D supplements, through seeing naturopathic doctors, through getting blood work, through doing spiritual cleanses, through working with plant medicines, and going to Costa Rica, you know, doing veganism. I was vegan for 10 years. I've been on a very strict eating diets, and eventually it's like, whoa, what are we doing here? Is this the way I want to live my life? Honestly, like, and so much strict and specific behavior because I'm trying to attain this goal that I think can be reached if I just am. Is it perfect enough? If I just am just a little bit more healed, if I'm just a little bit more cleansed, if, you know, if I just do just a little bit more, and it's like, geez, oh my God, it's exhausting. And then I find myself here in the Midwest, having a UFE procedure about a week and a half ago. And I never thought I would have a fibroid embolization procedure. And I'm very grateful I finally did it. But even up to the day of my procedure, I still was questioning, am I doing the right thing? Should I try a little bit more vitamin D? And granted, like I just said, my last 7 years I've spent doing all sorts of different holistic remedies, and then saw a OBGYN in about last November, and she hysterectomy, myomectomy, and then did give me UFE, but kind of poo-pooed it, and some other things. And I wanted to, like, I really was just so adamant about not doing any sort of procedure. Like, I did not want anything foreign in my body. I didn't want to be cut into. And so I was willing to try birth control for a month, which is a complete disaster. And I just like hemorrhaged for like a month straight. I'm not even joking. It was super intense. And then finally I considered having a different procedure with her because I have multiple fibroids. I have like 11 fibroids, and one's protruding into my my lining of my endometrium. And so I was going to do a procedure where they just removed that. But then last minute, honestly, like a month before, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And so I did over these last 8 months, because I was like, I need to make sure I give it like, as if I didn't give it 100% enough of a try, as if in any normal world I did not try 100% at this point. But no, I had to go a little bit harder. So I had to make sure I was taking my green tea extract is another thing people say for fibroids. So I think it's EGCG extract every single day. I was drinking green tea regularly. And that the doctor even recommended that. I was doing chasteberry, chasteberry, and that's supposed to help with fibroids. I was doing vitamin D regularly. That's supposed to help with high fibroids. I've been doing magnesium at night. I decided to do acupuncture twice a week for about 3 months. And granted, I've done acupuncture in the past many times, but I wanted to do it really diligently and consistent to see if that would help. And what else did I try? I did do SIBO diet for a while. I did like a low keto vibe briefly. Before I was finally like, we went to Mexico City a few months ago. And when I was in Mexico City, the way it landed up, and I usually always make sure I am not traveling during my menstrual cycle because it's a complete disaster. And I've known this for, like I said, my whole life. But I wasn't thinking, and we booked it, and it was just the window of time I had off from work. And it was like, oh my God, I'm going to be at the end of my cycle, at the end of the trip. And it was horrible. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is enough torture. This is enough self-torture. There's nowhere else to go from here other than you're going to get a procedure. I'm going to be grateful that I have the means, that I have insurance right now. Remember why I took a job in the hospital again was so I had insurance, so I could do a procedure like this that I postponed for almost a year because I am that stubborn about not wanting to really surrender, right? And I think that's something I learned in this whole process is surrender is like a spiritual practice too, right? I feel like sometimes you get stuck in this spiritual, or I got stuck in this spiritual space that was super, really you're not surrendering, you're still trying to control all these things and outcomes, yet you're like trying to be like, I'm trying to go with the flow, but like I'm really not going with the flow, because if I was going with the flow, I could just surrender to the fact that nothing I'm doing holistically is helping. I don't really fit the mold for the things I recommend. Like I'm not overweight. I don't need to lose weight. Those things aren't relative to me. I have enough vitamin D. I've been doing all these different things that of all the different reasons I can find why you'd have fibroids, outside of the fact that, hey, there's a strong genetic link. And all the women on my dad's side of the family had hysterectomies by like 30 years of age. And I have family members on my mom's side who also had dealt with fibroids. So it's like, so it came from both sides. Can it just purely be the fact that it's this structural thing and it doesn't have to be something I need to spiritually work on to heal, to do more with? So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm just really happy I did the procedure. It's too soon to 100% tell how I feel. But I definitely have really high hopes based on the fact that they've been doing this for 30 years that I'm going to have good results. And so far I have had pretty good results. I've been in a lot of pain for the first week or so. but definitely feeling a lot better now. And yeah, I just felt inclined to share for anyone who's going down that path of healing something specific that's been a chronic, long-time issue that you have been dealing with forever and have tried everything and nothing seems to work. And maybe there are options for you that you can do that aren't holistic, but still probably worth it. And if you happen to be one of those people, I just want to open the idea to you as well that just because you have to do something like a Western medicine type of procedure, or a procedure that really wasn't what you initially wanted, like you just have to trust the path that might be the best way forward, and it might give you a better quality of life back, and just be grateful that you even have access to things like that. That's what I had to remind myself of be grateful that you can do this and that you have that opportunity, because some people don't. And some people don't even have options for certain treatments for certain issues. And so, yeah, keep looking for answers, keep reaching for help, keep exploring your options and resources, because there are many options and resources for many different things. But when we get super hyper-focused in one area of life, sometimes we can drag on and miss the other opportunities around and available. So that's all I wanted to share. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. I'm wanting to share, wanting and doing, sharing more about just the many, many healing paths of life, and some of the journeys and the stories I've had to hopefully inspire others or give some insight or whatever. Okay.